Have you ever heard about a child star who was loved by millions but was destroyed by the very people who built her up? They drugged a child star to death and called it the Golden Age. Yes, we are talking about Judy Garland and the mystery behind her death. Well, the mystery is finally solved, and it isn't any good. Let us dive in. Decades after her untimely death, a chilling truth has surfaced. Yes, a devastating secret involving the very studio that made her a star, MGM. First, let us dive into her childhood. Judy Garland was born as Frances Ethel Gumm on June 10, 1922, in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. She was the youngest of three sisters. Her parents, Frank and Ethel Gumm, were vaudeville performers who owned a small theater. From the time she was a toddler, little Frances loved to sing. At only 2.5 years old, she sang Jingle Bells on stage for the first time. Crazy, right? The crowd clapped and smiled, and she felt something she would chase for the rest of her life. Yes, love through applause. By the time she was 5, she was performing regularly with her sisters as the Gumm Sisters. But behind that cute family act, there was a mother who was known for being controlling. Ethel Gumm wasn't just supportive, but she was pushy as well. She saw her daughter's talent and thought that as the family's chance at fame and success. So Judy was trained, dressed up, and pushed to perform again and again, even when she was tired or sick. She was told to always smile, no matter what. For Judy, love always came with pressure, and the stage became her prison. This pressure to be perfect became normal for her, even when her heart wanted to cry. She learned early that she had to earn love by performing. Little did she know that that mindset, that she was only valuable when she was perfect, would follow her forever. In 1935, when Judy was just 13, her life changed completely. She signed a contract with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, the most powerful studio in Hollywood. And with that contract, Frances Gumm was gone. Well, she became Judy Garland. MGM's studio boss, Louis B. Mayer, was one of the most feared men in Hollywood. He controlled everything and everyone. To him, Judy wasn't a child or an artist. She was a product to be shaped and sold. Mayer would often tell Judy she had a fat little nose and wasn't pretty like the other stars. Imagine hearing that as a teenage girl. To make her look thinner, the studio forced her on strict diets. They even gave her pills, pep pills, they called them, to keep her energy up and control her appetite. Actually, those pills were amphetamines. When she couldn't sleep, they gave her sleeping pills. They trapped her in a toxic cycle. Yes, pills to wake up, pills to sleep, pills to keep working. Judy became addicted before she even knew what addiction meant. Sad, right? But to the outside world, she was just a bright, smiling girl who could sing her heart out. MGM wanted her to be perfect all the time. They made her work long hours and often denied her food. On the set of The Wizard of Oz, she was only 16, but she was already exhausted, both physically and emotionally. The ruby slippers, the magic, the songs, they all looked so beautiful on screen. But behind the scenes, Judy was being overworked, starved, and manipulated. How pathetic. Even her co-stars and crew later revealed that she was constantly monitored by MGM staff. She wasn't allowed to eat what she wanted. She wasn't allowed to rest when she needed to. She wasn't even allowed to be herself. But despite all that, her performance as Dorothy became one of the most beloved roles in film history. Audiences fell in love with her innocence and her voice. She became a star overnight. But the price of that fame was very heavy. MGM continued to control every part of her life. They chose her clothes, her friends, and even the people she dated. She had no freedom, no childhood, and no sense of self. Whenever she showed signs of exhaustion, the studio called her ungrateful or lazy. They told her to keep working. So she did without saying anything offensive. By her early 20s, Judy was one of Hollywood's biggest names. But what people didn't know is that she was falling apart from inside. The studio's drugs had taken over her life. She suffered from anxiety, depression, and constant fatigue. But instead of helping her, MGM blamed her. They replaced kindness with control. When she gained weight, they humiliated her, and when she cried, they told her she was being dramatic. Over time, Judy's confidence shattered. She began to believe the lies they told her, that she was worthless without them. In the late 1940s, things got even worse. Judy's mental health began to crumble, and her relationship with MGM became more toxic. She tried to fight back, but that was not possible since the studio had too much power. They even spread rumors about her being difficult to work with. In 1950, after years of abuse and exhaustion, MGM finally dropped her. The girl they made into a star was thrown away like she meant nothing. After MGM, Judy tried to rebuild her life. She performed in concerts and on television, and for a while she seemed to find happiness again. The world still adored her, and her voice still had the same magic. But behind that smile, her struggles continued. Addiction and emotional pain haunted her every day. She had several marriages, all filled with heartbreak and instability. Financial troubles followed her, too. No matter how hard she tried, she could never fully escape the damage MGM had done. But by the 1960s, Judy was fighting just to survive. She gave unforgettable performances, but her health was getting worse. Yes, the same pills that had built her career were now ending her life. She couldn't live without them anymore. Every day felt like a battle she was losing. On June 22, 1969, at just 47 years old, Judy Garland was found dead in her London home. The official cause was an accidental overdose. But what do you think, guys? Do you all think that it was just an overdose? Well, just like you, many believe it wasn't just an accident. It was the tragic end of years of Hollywood's cruelty. After her death, many people began to question what had really happened behind the scenes. At MGM, former employees, actors, and friends started speaking out about how the studio system treated its stars, especially young ones. They talked about the constant pressure, the forced diets, the drugs, the manipulation, and the emotional abuse. Judy wasn't the only one who suffered, but her story became the most heartbreaking example of how fame can destroy a person. Well, decades later, the truth finally started to come out. People began to see Judy not just as a tragic figure, but as a victim of a system that cared more about money than humanity. Hollywood's golden age had a dark heart. Yes, one that thrived on control and image, not kindness. Her life showed what happens when a child's innocence is taken for the sake of entertainment. Well, do you think the pattern has now changed? The entertainment world still struggles with the same patterns: overwork, image pressure, and the use of young talent as disposable products. Judy Garland's life may have ended too soon, but her story continues to be a reminder of what happens when the spotlight blinds compassion. Her daughter, Liza Minnelli, once said that her mother gave everything she had to the world: her voice, her laughter, her tears. And she was right. Judy's voice still touches hearts, but behind every note is a story of pain that should never have existed. When we think of Judy Garland, we often picture Dorothy, the girl singing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow." But maybe that song wasn't just a performance. Maybe it was Judy's cry for freedom, her dream of a place where she could finally rest, away from the lies, the pills, and the control. The truth has been uncovered, and we can see that Judy didn't just follow the yellow brick road. Instead, she was forced to walk it, step by painful step, until it led her to her end. The mystery of Judy Garland isn't just about her death. It's about how Hollywood destroyed her long before that day came. What do you think killed Judy Garland? And who really allowed it to happen? Let us know your thoughts and perspectives in the comments section. Hit the like button if you believe her story deserves to be remembered, and subscribe for more untold stories from the dark side of fame.